This program is going to show you how to solve a problem using a counted loop. We use counted loops when we need to repeat something and we know exactly how many times we need to repeat it. So our problem specification. Effective January 1st of each year, Gabriella receives a 5% raise on her previous year's salary. She wants a program that calculates and displays the amount of her annual raises for the next 3 years. At the end, the program should also display her total salary for those 3 years. So we're going to enter, Gabriella is going to enter her salary. So that's the input, previous year's salary or salary. And then we're going to calculate her raise for the first year, her raise for the second year, and her raise for the third year. And then we're going to add the salaries together for those 3 years, and that will be the total salary. So we do have a processing variable. That's the raise percent, 5%. We know exactly what it's going to be, so that's going to be a constant. And our two output variables are the raise amount and the total salary. Raise amount, even though it will be displayed 3 times, is still just one variable. It's one variable that will be displayed 3 times. We're going to calculate it, display it, calculate it again, display it, calculate it again, and display it. So one variable, even though we will see 3 raise amounts, it's still just one variable. So as we go through our processing, we enter the salary, and then we're going to do this 3 times. This is a counter-controlled loop. We know exactly how many times this will be repeated. We are going to find her raise amount. Well, the raise amount is the salary times the raise percent. So much her raise will be. Then we will add the raise amount to the salary. We do this because the first year she makes $10,000. Then she gets a raise. Well, the next year the raise should be based not on the original $10,000 salary, but the $10,000 salary with the raise added from before this. So I believe that would be $10,500. So the first year, her raise is based on $10,000. The second year, it's her new salary. Raise is based on $10,500. So we have to add the raise amount to the salary to make the new salary. Then we're going to add the salary to the total salary. That's what we're going to display at the end. And we're going to display the raise amount. Anything that we need to happen 3 times will be inside this loop. We have to calculate the raise amount 3 times. We have to add the raise amount to the salary 3 times. We have to add the salary to the total salary 3 times. And we need to display the raise amount 3 times. Always mark our repeat with an end repeat. At the very end, we're going to display the total salary, the grand total. So let's go look at the calculations. The variables, salary, raise percent, raise amount, total salary will all be doubles. Raise percent is going to be a constant because we know exactly how much it should be, 5%, 0.05 for calculations. The others are initialized to 0. We get the input from the user, prompt, get the input. And then here's our calculations. Raise amount is salary times the raise percent. Use the plus equal sign to add the salary to the raise amount. You could have also said salary equals salary plus raise amount. Did the same thing with total salary. Used the plus equal sign to add the salary to the total salary. Could also have been written total salary equals total salary plus salary. We displayed the raise amount. Now here's a question. How do I get this repeat 3 times to happen and the end repeat? There's 2 ways I can do that. I can use a for loop or I can use a while loop. The for loop is the preferred method for a counted loop. And you can see it's less code. Everything that needs to be done to repeat a loop or repeat code is all here in this for header. So we initialize a counter. Here we made a counter called year, and it's of the integer data type. Our counters are always integers. We count by whole numbers. I will do this loop while the variable year is less than or equal to 3. And I will add 1 to year at the variable year at the end of the loop every time we've finished an iteration of the loop. This variable year is declared in the for loop, the header for the for loop. We do that because this variable really only is used within the loop. So it's declared in the loop, it's called a local variable, and when that loop is done, executing that variable year is destroyed. So it belongs to the for loop, can only be accessed in the for loop, and only exists for the duration of the for loop. So that's called a local variable. Also use the plus plus symbol here. This is an operator that adds 1 to a variable. So year plus plus adds 1 to the variable year. I could have also said year equals year plus 1 or year plus equal 1. All those do the same thing. And then I mark the beginning and the end of my loop with curly braces. Remember, we mark the beginning and end of blocks of code, groups of code, with curly braces. Now the while loop does exactly the same thing, but it's a little bit more code. While loops are really better suited for sentinel value controlled loops, so a loop that will end when you enter a specific value. You can do counted loops with them, however. It's the same process. We set up a counter variable, we do the loop while the counter variable is less than or equal to the number of times we would like it to occur. We add to that counter variable at the end of the loop, and we mark the beginning and the end with curly braces. Again, the for loop is the preferred method for a counted loop, although you certainly can do it with a while loop, and that's totally acceptable. Enter my for loop, for int year. I could have called this whatever I wanted to. Your book, I believe, uses count. Some people like to use X. I will say do this while the year is less than or equal to the number of times I would like the loop to repeat, in this case 3. And I will add to my variable, my counter variable at the end. Mark the beginning of the loop with a curly brace, and mark the end of the loop with a curly brace. Now let's go into the program. This code's been transferred over. And when we run it, you can see what the output looks like. So enter my annual salary, 10,000. My raise amount for the first year is 500. For the second year is 525. For the third year is 551.25. And then my total salary is $33,101.25. So exactly what the problem said it should be. So I know this works. And it works with that set of data, and it should work with any set of data. So say she makes $20,000. I can see that it also works correctly with those amounts. I think we could modify this a little bit. I think it would be nice if this said raise amount for year 1, raise amount for year 2, raise amount for year 3. And see how it end will raise amount and the raise amount. Well, I'd like it to say raise amount for year 1, and then year 2, and then year 3. Well, I do have a variable year that is going to be 1, and then 2, and then 3. So I can use that variable year there. I'm also going to need some sort of editing character here to give me some spacing. So let's see how this looks. Okay, much better. So now I have raise amount for year 1. So raise amount for year, and then the 1 comes from that. So the 1 comes from the variable year, and then the colon space. Next time the loop iterates or goes around, year will have a value of 2. So that shows there. Third time around, year has a value of 3, so I get the 3. So I think that makes the output look a little bit nicer. So that's your counted loop.